I think before we go further, it does seem because when we think of LaFace, there's always this TLC, there's Usher, um, Outkast,
Hmm.
um, maybe Pink that comes in. I
Hmm.
think Shanice for a while. Y- It does. You don't seem to be. If Because if we could still poll, okay, how many people can you remember on LaFace? I don't know how many people might. I don't know if you were given that sort of opportunity to be like one of the poster childs for LaFace. Was there a reason why you think that when because LaFace people, I don't, I think sometimes it's like, oh yeah, yeah, Tony Rich, yeah, he was on LaFace, but I don't think many people remember. Did you ever find that? Did you have a different experience?
Well, the thing is this, right? There's a lot of different ways you can rewrite history. You could write something different, or you can not mention certain things at all, right? So let's just say you have a book and you're gonna do a revised version of that book. And in the
Mm.
revised version, you just don't mention certain things you mentioned in the first book. Whoever buys the latest book doesn't even know you ever said that in the first book because they don't have the first book. So it's kind of sort of like that. And I don't know the reason behind that, and I really don't care because what it was that what I knew for a fact is that all of us as artists we were all having different experiences as artists at the label. Everybody was experiencing different levels of success.
Mm.
Everybody was being treated differently. Everybody, like not everybody had the same creative freedoms. Like I had a lot of creative freedom for a long time until it wasn't. But that's the thing I could say. It's like it was a beautiful era of time.
Mm.
I was glad that I have no regrets for being on that label at that time because it was just what we did. But what I know is that at that time when Maxwell, D'Angelo, so D'Angelo was first, right? This was right after Dion Ferris. See,
Mm.
Dion Ferris was a great pioneer for D'Angelo, Maxwell, and myself as far as preparing um, the um, the industry for what was to come, as far as the kind of music that we were all individually doing, right? So you had Maxwell, D'Angelo, and myself. We all three of us sounded distinctively different,
Yeah.
but we were on three different labels,
Mm.
right? And so, and of course, at that time, everybody wanted one of those, right? So I remember at one point there was this artist by the name, I think his name was Myron, and he sounded extremely similar to D'Angelo. And then remember Rasan Patterson?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He came out right after um, Maxwell.
Okay.
But Rasan has a totally different kind of voice.
Yeah.
But it seemed like marketing wise, because they had like, I think when he first came out, he had his hair kind of big like
Yeah,
Max.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm like, yo, no. Rasan is a whole totally different type of vocalist. That guy's extremely talented. And whereas Maxwell is a totally different vibe too, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And who was it? I'll never forget. God rest his soul. It was Lou Silas called LA and said, "Yo, you know that Tony Rich project stuff? I'm about to copy that." And it was
It was who?
Jesse Powell.
Ah.
Jesse Powell's first video. He's in a bathtub, fully dressed,
Uh,
just like I was. You know, so but that wasn't Jesse's doing. That was Lou, because Lou loved what I did, what we had done with Tony Rich Project so much. He's like, man, I'm about to copy it. So it was like it was a really interesting space to be in. And so what happens is no matter what you do as a creative, is there. How people talk about it is you have no control over that, whether
yeah.
they you or not. So I don't care about that at all. It's just that when I do hear my name mentioned, all I'm listening for is accuracy,
Yeah.
is to make sure that okay, yeah, that's right. Or but if it's something I wasn't in the conversation, I can't say anything about that. I wasn't there.
Yeah. I think just to think about it, because with the Usher, TLC, Outkast, they became real big I would crossover hits because they went from R&B to sort of pop. So
Yeah,
hence they probably got a lot of push and a lot of light,
yeah.
more so than say Goody Mob, who was also on the face. But I think at the time when you came out, we did have um labels were investing in I think Kedar comes up with this whole neo soul. So we
Yep,
are finding, Chico DeBarge goes to Motown, and
yep.
we are getting men who are able to be self-contained in a way,
Mhm.
play an instrument, sing, and just vibe out. And people just, and then we had Love Jones, an amazing movie. So
Yeah, yeah.
there was a time where everyone was just into that vibe. And I don't know if labels were looking for you guys to make a lot of money, because if they already had a TLC and an Usher bringing in most of the revenue, we can give you guys the space just to be creative and get the Grammys. Was that the type of freedom you think you might have had, that you can do your music and be as artistic and creative as possible, and there's no pressure to sell 20 million like Usher or TLC?
No, listen, let me tell you something. Back in that era, it was always pressure to sell millions of albums.
Wow.
In fact, at that time, 500,000 wasn't enough. That wasn't good enough. You know what I'm saying? Usher did 500,000
The
on
debut
the
album
that album that was produced.
with Devontae and Tuffy and
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that album did 500,000, and he was close to getting dropped because of that. Like,
Wow.
because it wasn't platinum, right? So the pressure was there. That's why I look at artists these days. I'm like, you just don't realize how different it is. It's like you're dependent on streams. We had to sell albums, And it was funny because once you learn the formula, it was like it was. I remember it was an amazing thing to figure out. Like, how do they determine when you're going to go gold or when you're going to go platinum? Because they base it off of the number of units of physical CDs that you were selling per week.
Yeah.
So if you're selling like 80, 75 to 85,000 albums per week, not 85,000 streams, you're selling work. Okay.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're selling that, then they can project, oh, you're going to be platinum in 6 months
Mm,
or whatever.
yeah.
So it was a totally different era of time.
Mm,
And I was just, I was always really, really glad that I was um, one of the fresh faces that was doing something that wasn't typical to what you were hearing at the time.
yeah.
So for me, with me being on LaFace, because my album wasn't necessarily an R&B album,
Mm,
it was kind of weird, because that words fell in between genres a lot. So even when I would go to, like, say, Tower Records, sometimes it would take me a minute to find out where do they have my album placed, because it wouldn't be in R&B, it wouldn't be here. It's just like, what is going on? But I remember that was a discussion that we had before putting the album out, that this is probably going to fall in between genres, because there was no two songs that were on there that was solidified, like, oh, it's this genre. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? You got Nobody Knows it's a country record. Missing You was sound like some folky stuff. Then you
Yeah.
had, like, Hey Blue sound like something that Donald Fagen or Steely Dan would do. And then you had, like, Little Ones was like some David Bowie type stuff. So I was all over the place, but there was continuity because it was my voice threaded throughout. It was
Mm,
my production threaded throughout, even though
yeah.
from track to track it could be different.
Yeah.
Um, and then what I loved about D'Angelo, and what I loved about Maxwell, was that when I listened to their music, I was just like, man, I never would have thought to do that. And so my respect for other artists is always, when I hear something I would never think to do, I respect that.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that kind of.
And somewhere in between.
for even loving us. On which I didn't miss you with.
I'm sure, but what was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay.
They don't understand what Jonas Boys and men and all spirits.
Play it.
I mean, I love all different genres.